Why does the paleo diet fail and the mucusless diet succeed? If you're somebody that's been taken in by the paleo thing, there's a lot of popular and famous people that are getting into it, and athletes and this kind of thing, and it's been around a little while and it's gained a bit of mainstream success and respect. And if you've been taken in by this paleo concept, I invite you to stay tuned, because so many of the people that I talk to that went down the paleo path, at first they feel okay and they're working out and they're doing all this stuff, but then the negative symptoms start to come. They notice that their bowel movements smell like 20-year-old dead. I mean, just pure death, put it like that. Smells like death. Their skin is starting to get all kind of, it's not really supple anymore. It's starting to age faster. The digestion starts to the ability to naturally digest food starts to leave because of all of this protein that they're putting in. So where the paleo diet fails, and eventually fails consistently, the Mucusless Diet Healing System can succeed. And I'm going to explain how and why in this video. Stay tuned. I'm Professor Spira, and I practice something called the Mucusless Diet Healing System for over 18 years, and I've helped thousands of people transform their lives using these methods, and I've transformed my own life. I went from over 300 pounds, chronic migraine headaches all the time, really bad sinus issues, constantly taking pharmaceutical medications, to being able to naturally get off of these things and have just a totally new lease on life. I totally became a new person, a person that I feel that I always should have been. And that's what I want to share with you. I want you to have that opportunity, the same opportunity that I had. Somebody had to share this information with me so that I was able to go through that transformation, and I want to also share this with you. But if you have been caught in the web of lies, the paleo web, the Atkins diet web, the ketogenic diet web, or the carnivore web, they're all part of the same web of failed attempts, successful attempts at making a lot of money, but failed attempts at creating sustainable, rational, dietary existences, the lifestyles that can stand the test of time. That's not what they were put together for. They were put together to make money. Marketing, ketogenic, that was a marketing concept. Paleolithic era diet, really? Like that was the idea, and people went for it. So without even going into all the little details and comparing and contrasting, first and foremost, you got to understand that dead animal flesh is not the way to go for humans. It's not natural. Eating dead animal flesh is not natural for humans. We suffer the consequences when we do. 50,000 people die every day of heart disease. 25,000 people die of cancers. Preventable. Living a different kind of life, a different kind of lifestyle, but not preventable if you are going to continue the Murder King and the McDoo-doo and the Taco Hell and that kind of lifestyle. But if you're trying to get a little bit more discipline, say, okay, I'm gonna go paleo, I'm gonna get rid of the carbs, and so you start getting rid of the breads and the different stuff like that, then, like I said, what happens is that initial period, people sometimes feel okay, and they think, wow, this is really working, and you're losing some weight and all this kind of stuff, but at the expense of creating this toxic environment all throughout your body. And this toxic environment prevents people from being able to have natural bowel movements eventually, have bowel movements that don't smell like utter death, prevent just unnecessary bad death stench body odor. We don't need all that. But that is the logical result of a paleo type of lifestyle, that kind of very protein centered kind of thing. And I know there's other elements to it. Like I said, the purpose of this video isn't to get in and dissect and compare and contrast these different diets. What I'm saying is the Mucusless Diet Healing System. It's not just a list of foods that you should eat or this. It is a sophisticated system that you have to absorb. You have to read the Mucusless Diet Healing System book by Professor Arnold Ehret. We have an annotated, revised, and edited edition. You can get a copy of that down below. But it's about the system. Check out the Mucusless Diet Healing System and clean yourself out. If you want to lose a weight, clean yourself out. If you want to be active, we have UFC Hall of Famers that practice the Mucusless Diet Healing System. Look up Rashad Sugar Evans. He talked about it on the Joe Rogan podcast.
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to feel this good. I didn't think that a diet can make me feel this good. My energy, I have an energy level that it's really hard to say. It kind of feels a bit supernatural in a bit, you know, like I feel energy. I read this book, The Mucusless Diet, and it's by Dr. Arnold Ehret. And this is like in the early 1900s. He came up with this book, and he had some stomach issues. And it was, you know, not until he was fed up and was on like, you know what, he was starving himself. And then he realized he had some really, you know, it kind of changes his stomach situation. So then he started looking into diet and nutrition. And this book is talking about pretty much, you know, the role of food in your body and what it does and what causes mucus and what doesn't cause mucus.
There's a number of people, that former bodybuilders that I've worked with, that had very high protein diets, very similar to a paleo kind of situation. High protein, low carb, the whole piece, intermittent fasting, which is actually a word that was coined by Professor Arnold Ehret. I'll talk about that in a different video because that's a little complicated to talk about here. But so there's plenty of folks that come from that. If you're an athlete or somebody that you want to maintain that kind of thing, the Mucusless Diet Healing System is the way to go. But you might have to go through a period of not feeling as stimulated because you're coming down from a drug. It's like getting off of heroin or cocaine or whatever your choice of caffeine and coffee. I mean, getting off of something that you're used to functioning, that's altering your brain chemistry, and you're used to that to function, to get high, to get stimulated. Meat is doing that. It's decaying into this kind of mucousy, slimy mess, but it's causing us that kind of stimulation thing. But you don't understand that unless you get off of it. So all the people that try to defend that and say, well, no, it's not stimulating, this is how we're supposed to eat. Okay, Mr. Paleolithic man and or woman, do this for me. If we're natural carnivores or omnivores or however you would like to categorize us, if we are supposed to eat that animal flesh, then what I invite you to do as an experiment is to go into the wild, hunt your prey, don't use tools, that's not natural. Don't use a bow and arrow or certainly not a gun, that goes without saying. Don't use a bow and arrow, don't use a hatchet or some kind of spear. These canine teeth you guys like to talk about, use that. Take your canine teeth, since they're so carnivoric, let's take your canine teeth, hunt your prey. Since we're so fast, we're agile, you know, we can catch an antelope, right? So hunt your prey, then run up on it, jump on its back, and sink your canine teeth into the neck of the animal and break its neck, and then start to feast on its innards. You gotta, rip open with your teeth, rip open the gut, and start to feast on the intestines with the partially digested vegetable matter, mind you. A little that's a little cooking, a little animal cooking for you. Make sure you sop up the feces, the undigested, some of that fecal matter and that little diarrhea stuff. You want to get that, use that as a sauce, and eat it raw, of course, goes without saying. Be Paleolithic. If you want to use that weird, stupid, that's not even it's marketing, please. It's like it's marketing. But if you want to do that, then you can get my attention. Then you can say, okay, well, you're too natural for me. That's too natural. You got me. You're way more natural than me. If you can run up on animals, jump on their back, sink your teeth into it, and then eat it like we supposedly did, when did humans supposedly were frugivores? Genetically or biologically, we are meant to eat fruit. Am I telling you that you have to just go and eat fruit? No, I don't promote just blind fruitarianism and raw foodism. I promote the Mucusless Diet Healing System, which is different. But to understand the differences, you got to study the book, you got to study the material, you got to understand that this is all about system and transition. We're not telling you to give up everything overnight. We're saying it's time to transition. And I'm going to there's a number of people that I've talked to that did paleo for a period of time. There's other people that did ketogenic for a period of time. I've worked with people that did Atkins, and they've all had the same result practicing the Mucusless Diet Healing System. They felt 20 times better. They were able to better eliminate their foods and digest way better, eating the way that you eat. If you practice the real Mucusless diet, that includes cooked fruits and cooked vegetables, raw fruit, raw vegetables, used in a systematic way, cleaning out the gut with colon irrigation and enemas. It's a system. You still get your exercise, get your stretching in, get your sunbathing in. It's all about putting all of these things into place and practicing the system. It's what you want to do. But I urge you, don't get lost. Don't go for the okie doke just because they were able to make it seem as if it is, when you start seeing magazines, go into the store and there's like magazines called, Paleo Today and Keto Yesterday, and all these, it makes it look as if it is legitimate. It makes it look like it's more than just a marketing gimmick, but it's not. It's marketing. The whole concept of it was based on marketing, and they have been extremely successful. You know me, I give credit where credit is due. They have been able to mess up a lot of people's colons successfully by exposing them to this concept. It's Paleolithic, please. And that's another thing. My thing is, I'm gonna start saying that it's not about this concept of cavemen, the cavemen, as if that was first or something. Like, if you really want to deal with it, let's talk about the forest people, not cave people. That cave stuff that was going on in the Caucasus Mountains and then up in Europe and all that was so much later. Let's deal with the forest people if we're going to talk in that. And if you want the forest people diet, let's practice the Mucusless Diet Healing System and transition as far back in your bloodline and your genealogy physiologically as you want to go. That's up to you. That's up to you how far you transition back. I'm just promoting the Mucusless Diet Healing System. What you do with those tools is up to you. We have people doing miraculous things in terms of pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible in terms of fasting. Brother Air, who's a mentor of mine and friend of mine that got me, introduced me to the Mucusless Diet, he's doing these super long fasts right now. I mean, he's been doing them since around 2003. And we don't promote long fasts, but it just goes to show that we've been lied to about everything. I mean, this dude has more energy than most of the people I know, can go out on the street and play music for hours and hours and hours in the sun without taking a drink of water or a drink of juice or drink anything. And he's not eating anything for months at a time. Again, I'm not promoting that. I'm not saying, and you got to really study. If you get serious and you want to look into that kind of thing, you got to really study and try to and understand. He practiced the Mucusless Diet Healing System, very dedicated for 40 years. And so, like I said, that's not everybody is trying to push that type of boundary. Somebody else is going to come and innovate something else. We need innovators everywhere, because we're trying to put together the community and really, rebuild humanity. I mean, honestly, it sounds real, but we're trying to rebuild humanity, and it starts with rebuilding the bloodstream, and that's what you do with the Mucusless Diet Healing System. So if you're on that paleo thing, or the carnivore thing, or the ketogenic thing, or the old school Atkins, or Weight Watchers, or Nutrisystem, or any of this stuff, I urge you to take a look at the Mucusless Diet Healing System. Read that. It's a transformative book. I mean, when you read it, you can't unread it. You can either be in denial, or you can disagree with it. You can be blown away, but it's gonna do something to you. It's a real book. It's one of those that most people don't hear about, because it's more of an esoteric kind of thing. I'm trying to make it more visible, but it's still hard because a lot of people aren't ready for it. And usually people don't hear about it if they're not ready, and they definitely aren't interested. They're not attracted to consider checking it out unless they're ready for it. So if you're hearing this message and you're still watching this far in, you're ready for it. So I urge you, take a look at that book, Mucusless Diet Healing System. Links in the description. If you're interested in really just learning how to practice this system properly without the pitfalls and that most people go through from reading the book and then trying to do it all on their own, you want to enroll in the Mucusless Diet Healing System e-course. Link for that is down in the description. And just sign up for the Insiders Club. If nothing else, we get some introductory information, some free gifts, including 5 free recipes that help you eliminate mucus from your body. You do not want to start going through an elimination while you're trying to deal with that paleo stuff and not know what we know about real elimination, real healing. You don't want to get lost and trapped. You start going through cold and flu-like symptoms, and then you get on this bone broth vibe, and well, I need my bone broth, and let me get this, and then you don't know what you're doing at that point. We specialize in that. It's all about elimination. That's all that is. It's just the elimination of old nasty waste that has no reason to be in the body. And so that's all it's about. And when you know how to cleanse your body and you know how to deal with these eliminations, you realize you don't have to take no pills. It's not about suppressing the symptoms. Let it take its course. There's a reason that you're going through those eliminations. Let it take its course. And before you know it, you're gonna feel better. That's one of the beautiful things that happened to me when I first started practicing this diet. I took so many pharmaceutical medications, and over the counter, and as well as prescription. And when I started practicing the diet, that was the first time that I stopped taking medicine to slow down and suppress my elimination. So that became the first time that I was having natural eliminations that were not being stopped and suppressed and hampered. Because what happens when you start to suppress these eliminations, as is common and normalized in our society? You take your Sudafed, you take your Robitussin, you get a little cough, you take the cough suppressants, you get a little flu, or a little whatever, runny nose. You take something. We're conditioned for that. We've watched commercials that have conditioned us for that. We've had parents that have conditioned us for that. So it becomes a reflex. But instead, The reflex needs to be to fast when you start going through those eliminations. The reflex needs to be do a lemon juice in the still water enema, lay down, rest. That needs to be where it's going. The Mucusless Diet Healing System is the key for that, is the path, is the door that we all need to knock on, open up, and walk through, because we can transform our lives and society with this powerful, powerful information. So I thank you so much for tuning in to this video. And before you go, I want you to check this out. This is another wonderful video all about what we're talking about. I want you to click right here, check it out, and I will see you over there. Peace, love, and breath.